Successful careers are not planned. They develop because people are prepared for opportunities. In the late 90s, management guru Peter Drucker published an article called Managing Oneself in the Harvard Business Review, which has now become a classic. One of the quotes that he mentioned in this article are that successful careers are not planned in advance. They develop when people are prepared for opportunities because they know their strengths, they know the ideal method of working, and they know their values. But what does it actually mean to manage ourselves and manage our career? Your main question should be, where and how can I make the most difference over the next year to year and a half? And your answer should have three components. The first should be, what's my actual goal? Find something that stretches you, but don't find something that stretches you too much or that is dependent on some extremely ideal circumstances to be realized. Second, the results should be meaningful and make a difference. And thirdly, the results should be visible and, if possible, measurable. After you've clarified these three things, it should be relatively easy to plan a course of action. Drucker also recommends that we ask ourselves these critical questions. The first is obvious. Where are my strengths? Really take a look at analyzing your strengths. For example, many years ago when I used to work in a bank, I realized that one of my strengths was speaking and teaching and training when I was in a leadership development program. And that set my whole career on a different trajectory. Instead of corporate finance, I ended up doing training and teaching in multinational companies. So you see, it's very important to figure out where your talents are, your natural strengths. The second question you can ask yourself is, how and under what conditions do I perform well? Again, I asked myself these questions, and I realized that working 9 to 5 was not the place where I would flourish. I had to be a freelance entrepreneur. And of course, with all the advantages and disadvantages of being a freelancer, I still managed to build my career in the way that really suited the way that I like to work. So I ask you to look at your own self. Under what conditions do you work best? What are my values is a third question you need to ask yourself. For example, I looked at my own values and saw that education, constant learning, constant growing, and making a difference in people's lives were very important values for me. What are your values? Perhaps it's becoming a multimillionaire. Perhaps it's making a difference to millions of people around the world. Whatever your values are, they can be a driving force to be open to the right opportunities for you. The fourth question you might ask yourself is, where do you belong? I mean, over time, you've come to realize that you belong more in certain environments than others. Again, I'll use myself as an example. I realized that if I stayed too long in one country, I was uninspired, and I preferred a more global environment, a more international environment. And that's why I headed towards countries like Dubai. Basically, I like international, cosmopolitan environments. I could never sit in one place with the same language, with people who had only lived in that area and that culture. I really thrive in cosmopolitan and international environments. What about you? Where do you thrive best? So don't try to change yourself. Concentrate on increasing and improving your skills and finding yourself in the best possible environments for you to flourish. And you need to be careful, because if you're a dolphin, you can only do well in water. Okay, you don't want to end up an assignment that's on land. You're going to look like a fool. So if you do all this self-analysis and self-reflection, you can transform from an ordinary worker to a person with an outstanding performance. Is it a coincidence that we keep coming back to the quote of the famous Greek philosopher Socrates, who said, "Know thyself"? Knowing yourself is the alpha and omega of having a successful career.